two bowls. One is these bowls here, and the other one is like a boat. But the boat hasn't, they were ordered into Archer, but they haven't come in yet, to try to see which is better for tossing. These are a bit more expensive, actually they're quite a bit more expensive than the others. And so we kind of hope the others work out better. But just so you know, the idea is so that we don't have the cross-contamination issue, is that the shrimp will get tossed in a one-time use disposable bowl like this in the sauce, so that you just use it and toss it. Because what you guys usually do with your wings is you kind of have your tossing bowls, and the other idea was that you would just have like a big stack of bowls, and every time you tossed anything you would go to the dishwasher, which would actually be great. That way you don't have sauce sitting around getting old, which is something I really prefer. But what I'm afraid of is that people won't necessarily follow protocols, because sometimes we know that doesn't happen, and that way someone makes a mistake and then somebody gets hurt. So so when it comes to tossing the shrimp, we're going to do one-time use only bowls for the shrimp. I will send you the item number for the one that we decide to use once I do a test. Okay? So that will be done very shortly. So once those come into Archer. So that will be the case. So these cost about 25, 26 cents each. The others cost about 5 cents each. So we really hope the others work out well. They're kind of like those boats that you use. The question is, how do you toss in them? And these have a higher side on it, so we don't want you guys like losing shrimp. And these are pretty rigid, which are nice, but they're also expensive. You kind of get what you pay for. So hopefully the less expensive ones work out. But we like and care about Anthony. We might find out in case, we find Darrell pinning him down and shoving shrimp down his throat, and we'll know how he really feels. Yeah, you have your
So are we using just one fryer for the shrimp?
I was just about to get to that. Thank you very much, Fernando. So we are not dedicating a fryer for shrimp only, from the standpoint that we are only frying seafood or shrimp solely, exclusively in a fryer, in that it's the only thing being fried in a fryer. However, what we are doing is we're going to be quarantining shrimp to one fryer. So what that means is, so most of you have 3 fryers, some of you have 2, but what you have is your French fries and your cleaner oil are on your fryers on the left, and your older oil, your more dirty oil, is on the right, which is where your wings are usually fried. So what we're going to do is this. You're going to be frying your shrimp in your fryer on the right. And if somebody says that they have an allergy, a seafood allergy, and it's severe, and that they need to make sure that their oil is clean. Now, if somebody has a normal seafood allergy, now for someone, for example, with seafood allergy or shrimp allergies, that's not that severe, would be Leo. Leo can have, French fries fried in a fryer that has shrimp in it. That's not a problem. He doesn't worry about it. He goes out to places that have fried shrimp, and he doesn't have to ask anyone or anything about that, and he's okay. Anthony says he has to be careful about that. So that's not that big of a deal for someone like Leo, but for Anthony it is. So Anthony would ask about our policies. So if Anthony says, I need to make sure that my oil is clean, in that case then, what we would do is, because we won't fry shrimp in that fryer on the left, we will fry everything for Anthony in the fryer on the left, and our shrimp are solely fried in the fryer on the right. So in that case, you'll fry everything in your fryer all the way on the left, and even though we keep our fryer clean for our fries, especially if you have 3 fryers, the little bit that's fried in there, the wings or tenders or whatever, that would be fried solely for someone who has an allergy, that's on the left, that's not going to really kill the oil. So that's how we're going to handle that situation. Is that understandable to everybody? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that way, does that sound like something, do you feel comfortable with that, Anthony?
Yeah.
Excellent. So that way things are kept separate, and we'll be fine. And if someone is really that careful about it, like there's somebody else that has a daughter, that we know that has a daughter who has issues with severe shrimp seafood allergy, what they said is, we just don't order fried food then at places that have that, and that's just what they'll do. And it's not, it's as common as it is, it's really not that common. So it's not going to be that much of an issue, and there are a lot of places that fry shrimp. They don't even take any precautions. There's some places that have a dedicated fryer because they go through so much. I'm really not that worried about it. So this won't be that big of an issue. So especially what will be more of an issue actually is tossing it in a bowl, because really when it comes to allergies to seafood, the allergy is to the protein itself. So the transference of the protein you need what's called a threshold amount in there, and that you will reach that more by sharing a sauce or a bowl or something, and that's why we're going to have this sort of thing. Okay? Alrighty. Yes, Fernando.
I have a question about those bowls. How
Yes.
come we don't just serve, instead of wasting every single bowl, why don't we serve the shrimp in that bowl?
Because we don't want to serve it in a slippery bowl. Because we're going to toss it in the bowl when it has the sauce. We don't serve the shrimp in, because they have the option of sauces to toss it in. That's not tossed. Just to show you how we're going to serve it, but because we don't, serve our wings in bowls, the sauce that we toss in, because if we want them
So
tossed or
once
coated.
where are we gonna serve the shrimp after we toast the?
That's next. Thank you, Fernando. You're getting ahead of me. Come on, man.
Sorry, well, I just want to make sure.
So, service of the shrimp. So this is our shrimp. It's a lovely tailless shrimp, and the way that it's served, it's on the menu, is 8 ounces. Okay, so it's 8 ounces because these shrimp, they vary in size. They're pretty consistent in size, but you'll see that some of them are about this size, and then you've got this one's kind of a little bit bigger and rounder. They're tail off, which is really nice, and they vary a bit in size. They're breaded, they're golden fried. It's 3 minutes of frying time. Okay, you guys don't need me to demonstrate that for you. You guys know how to put something in a fryer and hit the button for 3 minutes and then pull it up afterwards. And they're pretty bulletproof. If you actually let them sit for an extra 30 seconds or something, they'll be okay. But it's 3 minutes of frying time. And then when you plate it, it comes with 8 ounces of fries. And the 8 ounces of fries go in the back of the basket. Okay, so basket, back of the basket, and the shrimp go in the front. They get tossed in the sauce of choice that people might want. It goes well really with all the sauces. So that's that's how they get served. So we have, and it's really that simple. There's also a recipe in there for a cocktail sauce. If anyone asks for cocktail sauce, I'm not going to show you how to make it today because it's really, really simple. It's I think it's 5 ingredients. It's you take ketchup, horseradish, lemon juice, and a little bit of triple sec, and you mix them together. So that's 4 ingredients, right? So you just mix them together, and that's cocktail sauce. So if anyone wants a little bit of a side of cocktail sauce to go with it, we have that available, and it lasts for about 3 weeks on the shelf, and we have that for people who want it, just naked without anything else. Any questions about shrimp? Anybody? It's kind of a quick thing. It's not, for anyone who's not, Hillside Melrose Park, because you guys aren't going to have a separate training class with Leo or myself coming through. Also, I'm going out of town next week for about 11 days, so I would recommend you ask questions now, or Leo can also answer questions, but anything? You guys got it? Out.
So horseradish.
On to new sauces. So, all right, so we have some new sauces coming into the stores. We have 2 that we're gonna be buying. All right, so of those that we're gonna be buying, we have the Sweet Baby Ray's, we have the Sriracha sauce. Sriracha is from Southeast Asia, originally from the Vietnam, Thailand area. It is all the rage amongst the kids. Even Taco Bell is getting into Sriracha, so why shouldn't the pizza place? Sriracha has a very nice heat to it, and this would be actually our 3rd spiciest option. So this one is very easy. We're also going to be using this on a new pizza. Okay, so this is going to be on the Chicago Fire Pizza, and it's going to go into a squeeze bottle, and it's going to actually finish at the end. You're going to squeeze it on top. All right. So that's our sriracha sauce. Then we also have the mango habanero sauce. Even though it has habanero in it and on the name, it's actually more sweet than hot. This actually, one of the reasons we're putting this on the menu is we're taking off the jalapeno peach sauce. So this is going to replace the jalapeno peach sauce. Obviously, a lot less work, and it's of the same ilk. It's definitely got some more heat to it, and it's a little bit different flavor. And we think people are going to take to it a little bit more because it's got some more. It's a little bit spicier and doesn't take as much work as that sauce does to make. And we are going to replace, and we're going to add some more sauces that we're going to make to our menu. Now, the reason we're going to start making some more sauces is that who remembers in the 90s when salsa replaced ketchup as the #1 condiment in the United States? Anybody? Jeff does.
I remember.
That's pretty big news. It was really big news. So, very recently, the #1 carry-out and delivery food, which was?
Wings.
Well, was pizza.
Wings.
It was replaced by wings. Joanne's on the ball. It was replaced by wings. So wings is now the #1 carry-out and delivery food in the United States, and it is projected to keep growing. So wings are doing really well, and they're a very high margin item. We make a lot of money off of wings. Our food cost percentage is low, is pretty high, but we still pocket a lot of money. So we want to capture that. We want to have a lot of different options for people. We want people to not just say, I want to go to Home and Inn for pizza, and people say we want to go to Home and Inn for pizza and wings already. You guys even say, I was talking to people say, do you have any idea how many wings we already fry? It's because we do some great wings. We have huge wings with some really cool wings, and to complement that, we want some really cool sauces. So we're going to make some new sauces. And the reason we're going to do some different sauces, some new sauces, we want to be a little bit different. We want to differentiate ourselves. So we're going to make 4 new sauces. Some of them are really easy to make. In fact, they're all pretty darn easy to make. None of them are overly difficult or technical. And then one of them is really darn easy to make. And then we're also going to be adding a wing powder to the mix. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to create a really nice, spicy wing. And that's going to be our fire wing powder. So first we're going to start out with our honey garlic wing sauce. So of the wing sauces that we're going to be adding, the new ones is, let me get the recipe out so that I can show you guys how to make it accurately, is we're going to be adding a honey garlic wing sauce. Okay, so that's going to have a little bit of an Asian flair to it. We're going to be adding a Hennessy wing sauce. Then we're going to be adding a mild sauce. And the mild sauces are buffalo wing sauce, but it's just thinned out with some of our liquid margarine, some honey, and some brown sugar. And what that does is it really amplifies the actual flavor by bringing down the heat, so that people who are more sensitive to heat can really enjoy the flavor of it and also enjoy the wings without being overwhelmed by heat. And then we're adding a Jamaican jerk sauce, and then we've got the fire powder. Yes, Darrell?
And how would that affect them? Because the wings already come coated in a buffalo type of seasoning. Would it
Right.
still make it
So
tense, spicy?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Would it still make it like a tense?
Oh yeah, it's still got a little bit of heat to it. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, when people order our wings naked, they're still hot. I mean, sometimes you even have people who ask for the wings to be naked, and they say, they're still hot because of the seasoning that's on it. So that's something that we still have to deal with. So there's still going to be some heat on the wings. In fact, some of these sauces, they have a little bit of heat themselves to it already, like the jerk sauce. And when you add that to our wings, it gets pretty hot. So for heat heads, these are definitely, they like it. In fact, when we tested them at certain stores, people really like heat. They really liked it. So for our honey garlic sauce, so how it starts out is we're gonna melt some butter in our pot. So make sure you guys follow along. So we've got our butter, so we're gonna melt this off. And we've taken a few steps to make things go a little bit faster, like in the Hennessy sauce, because it's we have to reduce some alcohol. It takes a while. We pre-reduce that so we can keep moving along. So we're gonna melt our butter.
Alan, once this sauce is cold, does it have to be reheated to?
Yes, so this sauce is a good question. I was about to get to that. So actually, when we got to the end, so this sauce, because of the butter that's in it, the butter will congeal. So this sauce you actually want to keep warm. So you want to keep warm on your steam table, or you want to heat it up and actually keep it kind of room temperature during service. So like at Hillside, where you guys don't have a steam table really going during service, you're gonna want to heat it up beforehand and keep it warm during service. Keep it like room temperature during service. All right. Now, I have a quick question for you, Leo. This says garlic for Hennessy sauce. Is this actually for the garlic sauce? Yeah. All right. So now we have our garlic, and there's a fair amount of garlic. You want to make sure this is chopped pretty fine. Right? Cool. You're gonna add this to your sauce, and you're gonna make sure that you splatter it all over the place while you do it. Because that means you're having fun. All right.
Is that gonna be on video?
All right, so you're gonna cook this, and you want to cook this until your garlic softens in flavor, and that's gonna take about 5 minutes. All right? So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the rest of your ingredients after that. So let's go through what they are. So we want to stir this occasionally, so it doesn't burn. Let's get nice and garlic in here. If anyone doesn't like the smell of garlic, so the rest of the ingredients, we have some ketchup. It's gonna add a little bit of body to the sauce, and it's gonna kind of mellow out the flavors a bit. We have a little bit of crushed red pepper, okay? And that just adds a touch of heat to it. There's some rice wine vinegar. And the rice wine vinegar gives a little bit more acidity. Okay, it kind of bumps up from the ketchup. Gotta make sure you keep it moving every once in a while, because garlic actually has a lot of sugar in it. That's why it's sticky. When you touch it, you know, guys notice when you touch garlic and your hands get kind of sticky? It's because garlic actually has a lot of sugar in it. So that's why garlic burns and gets bitter so easily. It's got a lot of sugar and various compounds. So you just want to cook until your garlic gets nice and fragrant, and kind of, because if you just added the garlic to the butter, you didn't cook it enough, what would happen is you would get, you know, a really, really harsh garlic flavor. You're not looking for a harsh garlic flavor. You're just looking for a nice, you know, sweet garlic flavor to go along with it. All right. So we have lemon juice. Okay, the acidity from our lemon juice just gives it a bit of a brightness, okay, to go along with that. Rice vinegar. Okay, so we have some ginger powder. Okay, like I said, it has a bit of an Asian flavor to it. Now, originally when I used to make this sauce, I actually used fresh ginger, but keeping fresh ginger in-house to make this sauce, you don't need that much of it. That would be a little bit of a stretch. So adding the ginger powder kind of gets you most of the way there. But if you actually want to make this for yourself and have it really, really pop, what I recommend is you actually kind of do double the volume of fresh grated ginger to the ginger powder, and it'll have a little bit of a different flavor, and it'll really make it pop. Now this is strong garlic, so it's actually kind of stinging my eyes a little bit, so I'll know it's done when it's not stinging my eyes. But it's starting to, You're about to see a big man cry. All right. We have some soy sauce. That's going to give it also a little bit of an Asian flair. And some toasted sesame oil. Toasted sesame oil is pretty darn pungent. So it's going to give it a really nice flavor. So this is one of those things that, it's got that Asian flavor that it has is something that, servers should know that it has that flavor to it, because not everyone necessarily likes that. Great example would actually be Kim Davis when she tried it. She's not a huge garlic fan to begin with, and she wasn't expecting that, so I guess she didn't think I had feelings. So she took a bite, exclaimed an expletive, and then she
Ran for garbage can, didn't she?
yeah, and then told me her true feelings. But luckily, she loved the Hennessy sauce, so my ego was left intact. But a couple of these sauces, people are gonna love or hate. This is one that I've had a couple people actually say to me that they want to put this on absolutely everything, even their morning cereal. So it's just a matter of what you either love or hate. So
The jerk sauce is like that. You have to really like
yeah,
all spice to get it.
if you don't like Jamaican jerk flavor, you are gonna hate. It's exactly what I was gonna go to was the jerk sauce. If you don't like Jamaican jerk flavoring, you're not gonna like that sauce. So we're gonna add the rest of our ingredients. We're gonna add our soy sauce. We're gonna add our ketchup and our rice vinegar and our lemon juice. Ginger. Our sesame oil. A mess. Stir this all together. And then we got 10 pounds of honey.
Better stock up on your honey.
10 pounds of honey.
10 pounds of honey.
How many come in the case?
Each one of these is 5 pounds.
Are they sold by the each or are they sold in a case?
They're sold, I believe, 6 in a case. Yeah. And so 10 pounds of honey. Something that actually make it a little bit easier for you guys to get it out of here. You can do one of two things. You can either cut the tops all the way off. You can also microwave. If you microwave your honey, it'll thin out a lot. So you want to give me a hand real quick? Just gotta get that out of there, especially.
Should take it to the microwave.
Yeah. So a lot of wing sauces, if they're not vinegar and pepper based, are going to be sugar based. So our sweeter sauces are going to be sugar based. So the reason that these are made mostly with honey is that obviously this one is called honey garlic. And then the other reason is because this also lets it kind of sit with that more natural home run in, theme that we like to go with. The fact that home run in has a more natural vibe to it. Our pizza is natural. Our ownership likes to have natural qualities and chicken breasts and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really flavorful sauce. A little goes a long way. All right. I think that when they sell honey, they put it in bottles larger than next, considering. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this to a boil. We're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes. You want to be careful when you bring this to a boil because of all the sugar and everything that's in it. It can very easily boil over. So you just want to let it sit. So you want to be careful when you bring it to a simmer. Excellent. Thank you very much, Leo.
Also, you can put it in your steam table for a while.
Yeah, that too. Just want to heat it up. Honey is a really, really cool ingredient. Honey is considered one of the only ingredients in the world, one of the only things in the world that actually never spoil. They found honey in the tomb of Tutankhamun, completely edible. It's also an antibiotic. You can put honey on a wound. It's been done for millennia. You get a really bad cut or something, put honey on it. If you don't have anything, if you're afraid of it getting infected, it's a really amazing thing. It's really fun to exploit bees. All right. So we're going to bring this to a boil. We're going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes. I got a lot of honey on my hands real quick, so I'm going to actually rinse them very quickly, and then I'll come back with the Hennessy sauce. So, Leo, if you can watch this real quick for me, then I'll be back in just a second.
It's nice, it makes a lot of sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these sauces, all right. So for Hennessy sauce, we're going to start with 2 cups of liquid margarine.
Liquid margarine versus butter.
Yeah, because this sauce actually, the reason when I tried it with liquid margarine, I didn't like the flavor. The honey garlic, the Hennessy sauce with liquid margarine, the flavors were okay. But when I did this one with liquid margarine, it just didn't really taste quite right. The consistency wasn't what I liked. Just didn't quite taste the same. The liquid margarine itself has a bit of a, I don't want to say it has a chemical flavor, but it's just, it's not as pure a flavor as the butter. And in this one, the garlic itself just didn't kind of cook the same. It's just, it's just the way it kind of was. It just, that's a very good question. All right, so we're going to heat up our liquid margarine over medium heat. So we have onions. We're going to mince them finely. Some of these sauces, because they have some little chunky stuff in it, some onions and the garlic and things like that. So one of the things you might want to do is you either might want to keep them on the counter instead of keeping them in a squeeze bottle. Is either put them in a, you know, like a speed pour bottle from the bar, or use, or actually just have them in a container that you can ladle out of.
Can you freeze any of these?
I wouldn't say that they're necessarily freezable, but like I said, these have 3 to 4 week shelf lives on them, so you can definitely make large batches. All right.
And
So,
what if we decide to freeze it?
what?
What if we put it in the freezer? Well, you won't be able to cook it.
I tried freezing jalapeno peach. And
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Something happened to it? You know what?
Same?
It stayed the same.
Well then, you know what? I honestly haven't frozen them. I kind of prefer not to use frozen sauces if we can, but you know, if we can, keep it fresh. But so we're going to take our garlic and our onions, chop very fine in the food processor. We're going to saute those so they're soft and fragrant. Okay? About 5 minutes. Julio, can you get some squeeze bottle of buffalo sauce and some eggs so I can show the fire pottery? Alright, so while those are sauteing, we'll go over the rest of the ingredients that are in this sauce. Alright, so we have our brandy. Okay, so for this we're going to be using Christian Brothers brandy, but it is called Hennessy sauce. So we actually finish it off with a little bit of actual Hennessy. That way we can call it Hennessy sauce. And that way, you know, the actual brand itself sells. You know, we know that some of our, some people actually like specific brands of cognac. And this way, it actually, you know, has that cachet of that brand of cognac. You know, that way people can say, you know, they actually want to eat, you know, Hennessy with you, and they like the cachet of it. So the rest of our ingredients, it has a little bit of heat to it. So it has a little bit of heat to it. So it has some Cholula hot sauce. This isn't our buffalo sauce. This is actually Cholula hot sauce. So so we're gonna add this to it. So it has some heat. It has a little bit of soy sauce to it. And that soy sauce, it doesn't give it really an Asian flavor. It just kind of beefs up that flavor. It just gives it some backbone to it. It kind of has that you know, that flavor component it has is called umami, and that's it's called savory, you know, and that it just adds a lot of you know, it just adds body to things. So when you so it just gives it some backbone and a little bit more flavor to it, but you don't even notice that it's in there. You don't say like this tastes kind of Asian, and that's the same thing with the ginger that's in the back. You know, it's just a tiny little bit. It's, you know, it's much less that's in.
I got a question.
Yeah.
As far as the Cholula sauce, are we gonna be using the little bottles, or are we gonna get a new item number? Or a new
You guys can
bigger
use
container?
the little bottles. I wasn't able to find it on Fox River. Does Fox River have a big bottle of Cholula?
Oh, they have a Costco.
Yeah.
Are you bad? It's bad, it's bad, it's bad.
So you see our onions are starting to soften. All right.
Yeah, they they sell 464s now.
They do? Good. Okay. We'll get you guys an item number on that. So this is simmered for about 5 minutes, and this is done. That's good to go. You just have to put it in a container, cool it, and it's good to go. It's got a shelf life, like I said, of about 3 to 4 weeks. All right. So now our onions and our garlic is cooked for about 5 minutes. So it's nice and softened. Okay. So then what we do is we'd add our brandy to it. So this calls for 2 quarts of brandy. We'd reduce this by about 2/3, okay, to get, or about 1/3 to get all the of our alcohol. Okay, this has been reduced already. Okay, that way you don't have to sit here and wait for me to cook off all this brandy while I talk your ear off. I know you don't want me to do that for too long. So this has been reduced, but we're going to bring this up to a boil.
The brandy being reduced isn't in the instructions, is it?
Add brandy, turn heat up to high, and bring to a boil. Reduce the mixture by 1/3, and until the smell of the alcohol is.
But you reduce the brandy before you put it in there?
No, I done this for your benefit.
Oh, gotcha.
Done this for your benefit, guys.
Leo, are you bringing some wings?
A little bit. All right. So.
Everybody's asking me.
Nobody
wanted to
ask.
I guess I had to
You're supposed
get
to
it
bring
one.
your own, actually.
Bring you back.
All right. So when you add alcohol, we've done this before. How should you smell if it's been reduced off, guys? Shown you before.
Good question.
Put it in your face.
Put it in your face. There you
Okay,
go.
waft it to your face.
You waft it to your face. All right.
Drink a little
As
bit,
Celeste
maybe
would say, put it into your face.
And when you taste it, put it in your mouth.
Yeah. So you don't just take your face and stick it over a pot, okay? You waft it to your face, because what could happen is something could bubble up. It could come into you could just burst into your face. All right. There's a lot of things in here that could burn you, or there's a lot of alcohol in here. You could take a huge whiff. It could actually burn your lungs. When you do something like that, believe it or not, you can have an allergic reaction to it, which would cause your lungs to actually start to expel liquid, and you can actually drown. You can drown on dry land. Okay.
I'm not making that.
So the way you test this is you stand a little bit away from the pot and you waft it to your nose. Now, when you don't smell any more alcohol, you'll know it, okay? Because if it burns your nose and your lungs, you go, oh, there's alcohol in there. But don't smell any alcohol, we're good to go. All right. So then we're gonna add our honey, our brown sugar. How many brown sugar? 2 pounds brown sugar. Back. Okay. So we're gonna add our honey.
Bees have job security.
That's it.
Bees allowed.
No,
You're-
they die after the honey.
We are keeping the
They
bees.
die after you make the honey.
Yeah.
Those bees.
We're gonna add our Cholula. We're gonna add some rice wine vinegar. All right, it's gonna add a nice bit of acidity to it. Add a little bit of ginger. Okay. 2 pounds of brown sugar. Like I said, these are sweet sauces. These are basically adding a little bit of sugary sauce to our. Just a little bit in there. Soy sauce. We add some orange juice. The reason for that is, can anyone tell me what an orange flavored brandy is?
Grand Marnier.
There we go. So Grand Marnier. So it's a familiar flavor. So they go really well together. Okay. So we have all these flavors. Jose over there wants a cocktail.
Yeah, you're making me thirsty.
Okay. So we're gonna whisk this all together and we're gonna let it come to a boil and then we're gonna simmer for 5 minutes. We're gonna let all those flavors blend together. All right? So while that's coming together, I'm gonna take this off the heat here. I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna show you guys the mild sauce. Okay, so we're gonna keep moving along, keep on chugging. Plugging along. So the mild sauce, I'm gonna show you guys a half batch. That's gonna be pretty easy. Leo's gonna bring that in just a second. We got stuff staged. There's a lot to show you, so we got stuff staged in the back. You got the mild sauce? Grab the mild sauce. All right. So what do you guys think of these sauces so far? How do they look?
They smell good.
All right.
I imagine that they taste
Yeah,
wonderful.
they need to tasting with some shrimp.
Let's do this.
Not everybody, now is everybody coming up?
Jerk sauce is a long line of nice.
All right. All right. So this is a half batch of mild sauce, and the mild sauce is based on making 1 gallon of using 1 gallon of the buffalo sauce. So you don't have to worry about measuring out, the buffalo sauce. You can use a 1 gallon container. Okay. So it's pretty darn easy. Just think of double of everything. So this is. Right now, so this is 3 cups of liquid margarine. So in the actual recipe, it would be maybe 6 cups. This is 6 ounces of brown sugar. So in the actual recipe would be 12. This is 6 ounces of honey. So in the actual recipe would be 12. So there's not that much honey in this recipe. Bees Union is going on strike.
Bees are so mad at this recipe.
Yeah. So we're gonna So we're gonna heat this, and then once everything in this is totally incorporated,
Yeah.
so we basically, all you're doing is you're just gonna heat up your brown sugar until it dissolves in your butter and your honey, or your margarine and your honey. This really doesn't take very long. That was wings on that? Yes. Excellent. Here. Once this is all melted together, we just add our buffalo sauce to it, and then it's done. And this has a shelf life of a month, so you guys can make a lot of it. And guys, if you guys start going through a lot of it, you can add, you know, double, triple the recipe if you think you need to. You know, one of the things that Kim Davis brought up is that I guess she said that is it JJ Fish or J&J Fish? Is that it's called JJ Fish? So JJ Fish has something called mild sauce, and it is nothing at all like this. And that she thinks that people might be confused. Some people might be confused because this is not, you know, meant to be their mild sauce. This is just a mild version of our buffalo sauce. So, see, this is starting to boil. That means basically everything's incorporated. We're ready to go. And once it starts to boil, then it's all good. So we just add our buffalo. So while I was talking to Kim about it and tasting wings, after her initial reaction to the honey garlic wings, she said that she thought that people would really like the Hennessy sauce. That's the thing that would be closer to the JJ Fish mild sauce. You know, it's not really like it, but it would be closer to it, that sweet flavor. So if people, when they, when they ask about, you know, like mild sauce, especially if they say, is this like the JJ Fish mild sauce?
Can we call it mild buffalo sauce?
Yeah, I mean, that's, well, on the menu it's not called that. This was brought up, you know, kind of right after, yeah. But
Our goal isn't to make a sauce that tastes like JJ Fish.
Yeah.
What we want is them to go to JJ Fish and say,
Yeah.
Adam, your sauce tastes like over there.
yeah, we also don't let JJ Fish dictate how we, you know, how we operate. Yeah, so this is now coming to a boil. So we're just gonna let this simmer for about 5 minutes or so, just to let our flavors melt. It takes just a little bit.
It seems like Kim wanted to be that sauce, that's all, right?
Yeah, she really liked it. And she actually said that Nelson came up with a version that was really similar.
She forced me to make
She forced you to do it. She's a driver. She's.
She just got to take this.
Oh, I know.
it was a recipe there.
Whoa, jeez.
Where's the fire extinguisher?
I was just going to turn it off and it popped. So, the sauce bubbled and popped. So I was just going to turn it off, actually. Yeah. So once that is all incorporated, once the you add the buffalo sauce and you stir it all together, it's done. You don't have to simmer it, don't have to boil it or anything. You just, and it's done. That simple.
All right.
See, not everything I come up with is really hard.
That's one thing. That's just one thing.
Yeah.
The sauce. This-
I wish I could say not everything Fernando says is snarky. right, so we got mild sauce. See, we're moving right along, folks. All right. All right, so now that we have our Hennessy sauce that's been simmering, we're going to take we have our mixture of cornstarch and water, okay? We have a cup of cornstarch and a cup of water. We're going to mix this together. It's a form what's called a slurry. And the reason we mix these together so that when you add your cornstarch to your mixture to thicken it, okay, doesn't form clumps. All right, so we're going to add this to our mix. And this is our thickener. We're going to mix this together and we're going to bring this to a boil and we're going to let it simmer for about a minute. Okay, until it becomes nice and thick. So once this comes to a boil, it thickens. The reason it thickens is that your cornstarch does what's called gelatinization. So when cornstarch gelatinizes, think of I'll teach you the chemistry behind it. Think of your starch molecules as being long chains of molecules like this, and they're lined up behind each other. And what happens is, with water and heat, once they hit about 188 degrees, which is right below the boiling point, so once it actually boils, they break apart and they go like this, and that starch breaks apart, and they get these into these molecules that have all these long chains on them, so that they can actually grasp everything, and that's actually why it thickens. Okay, so it's called gelatinization. So your starch gelatinizes. Okay, so it's thickened. All right, so now once it's thickened like this, we can turn off our heat. All right, so that's done. Nothing popped, hooray. So now we have our Hennessy, real Hennessy cognac. This is what makes it Hennessy sauce. Add that. And we missed the garbage can. And we're done. That's that sauce. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Let's do this. I'm going to take these in back, and then I'm going to show them how to toss the fire powder, and then I'm going to make jerk sauce. Okay? All right. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to toss the wings for the fire powder. So the fire powder is an option for people so that if they want really, really spicy. So instead of making a really spicy sauce, we have the jerk sauce. The fire powder is a mixture of various spices that we have that go into this powder in here. Who likes really hot stuff? Brian knows. Darrell, he raised his hand fast. All right. So primary spices that go into this is we have chipotle powder, which isn't the one that's out here right now, but we have chipotle powder. We have red pepper, right, ground red pepper. We have ancho chili powder, and then we also have big boy, which there isn't that much of in here. We have habanero powder. Okay, so that's what makes it really hot. We also have a little bit of brown sugar in this. right? So the whole point of this is not, we don't really want to just completely blow people's heads off, right? We don't want to kill our customers. We don't want to just make it so that that people are utterly, on the floor dying. We don't want to have a challenge. That's not our goal. We're not, as much as we want to attract people here for wings, we're not one of those, we're not like a Buffalo Wild Wings where they have, the insanity place. So we have this fire powder though, so that for people who really want something to kick up that spice, we have that heat, we have it. So let me show you how we're going to use it. I would say it has a nice smokiness to it. I personally am not what you would call a heat head. Kind of a wimp when it comes to these things. But those who really like heat have said that they like it. What I would say is that, it's not one of those things like you bite into it and you go, oh my God, I'm gonna die. You usually actually have to eat about 2 or 3 of them because it has a heat that hits you and it kind of lingers. Then people say, you know what, this is starting to really get hot. It has a smokiness to it, a tiny little sweetness underneath because of that brown sugar that's in it. But it has a good flavor. And people who really like heat, what they've said is, it's got heat and it has really good flavor and they really like it. So I'm gonna show you how we toss it, how we toss the wings with it, so that you get how we do it, because we do it twice. Because we do it with our buffalo sauce. So we're gonna do it with like an order of 6. I'll show you this. So you start with a pretty, normal coat of sauce, actually relatively light, I would say. Just a touch more. And then what you want to do is you want to hit it with the powder, and you want to kind of, the way I would describe it is you want it enough so that it has a really nice coating to kind of coat it all on top. And then you toss it to coat. Then you hit it with just a little bit more buffalo sauce. And that's to give it another layer of liquid. And that way you can give it another layer of powder.
Wait, so it's already mixed
And this way, people who order it, they want hot. No one's going to order this, and because they don't really want hot. And that way you get enough. You get the 2 layers on there, and no one's going to die. This isn't stupidly hot. And I think that, but just to get an idea. Fernando obviously likes heat. I think let's get his opinion. Are you a drummer or flat man?
But he's hungry.
You're a flat man? All right. You had them, right?
I have them, they're pretty good.
Are you a drummer or flat man?
Oh, yeah, very good.
All
Se
right.
pinchan las jefas.
All right. Brian's a heat man. Sorry, I didn't ask you.
Pero no se siente feo.
So, who else? Anybody else? Anybody?
I don't like
Heat? You don't like heat, anybody? All right. Mr. Senor Garcia, drummer
We're
flat
like
man.
crying over there, man.
It's a slow burn, it happens at the end, not at the beginning.
So, good flavor?
Yeah, you'll feel it after.
This season's really good.
Yeah, but the point of it is so that it's not, like I said, you don't want to kill our customers, but it's definitely hotter than if you were to get regular buffalo, right? But it's got a nice heat to it. And like I said, once you have about 2 or 3 of them, then it really kicks in. And like I said, I'm not Heat is not my favorite thing. You know, I like things maybe a little bit spicy, but spices traditionally are a mixture of cinnamon and allspice and nutmeg, and there's a whole range of other spices that traditionally go into Jamaican jerk. So jerk is, and it has, I mean, jerk seasoning is one of those things where if you ask people from the Caribbean, particularly Jamaica where it originates, it differs from house to house. So if you ask someone, how do you make jerk seasoning, it's gonna be completely different. Sometimes it's a paste, sometimes it's a dry rub. So this is a marin, so this is, you know, obviously a sauce that we're making. This is a recipe that, you know, it's not, you know, I take credit for things that I deserve credit for. So this recipe actually comes from an old consulting client of mine. And this was something that their cook, like some cook of theirs had come up with. It was her recipe from years and years and years before. And they went through a lot of wings, and this was their #2 selling wing sauce. They went through, of this recipe of sauce, they went through something like 4 times this batch, like twice a week. They went through tons of it. So people loved it, and this was in Maryland. So as you read this through this recipe, it almost sounds kind of like a cocktail of what's in it.
It's a Long Island iced tea.
But people really liked it. So if you notice, the first part of the recipe is, it's Captain Morgan, triple sec, Malibu pineapple, and Malibu coconut, all right? So that's all the liquors here, all right? And then there's a little bit of water. There's 3 cups of honey. There's some sugar, right? Then we have, for our spices,
Is it 9 pounds of honey?
yeah, 9 pounds of honey. So it's 1 pound less than 10. So a little bit less.
No, wait, no, because you said 3 cups.
3 cups of honey, that's
Oh,
why I was
sorry,
confused.
I'm sorry. 3 cups of water. I was looking at the wrong line.
It's funny now.
Yeah, 3 cups of water. Sorry, I was looking at that. So just a little bit of, so we have a little bit of curry powder, some cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice. All right. Got some pineapple juice. Okay. So it's 6 of these little cans.
Why not make it 10 pounds?
Because
Yeah, what are we gonna do with the other pound?
just keep it in the can. It'll be used up. Use that in the mild sauce recipe.
There you go. I'm pretty sure everybody had the same question.
Deal?
That's shrimp?
Three cups of water in that. Hold on.
So we are testing the theory then.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, this water. I didn't know that's. Yeah. All right. Here's our water. We got our red crushed red pepper, because this thing's got heat. And then our recipe for jerk seasoning calls for 36 ounces. Right now, this is a 25-ounce container. We're a little bit under purchased at the moment, unfortunately. So we're gonna, so we're a little bit. So this recipe is gonna be a little light.
Compensate with honey.
We'll add an extra pound of honey for Fernando. We don't need another pound of honey, Fernando, because you're so sweet. So this recipe, you don't want to bring it to a boil. And it was explained to me when I originally learned it that the reason you don't want to bring it to a boil is because you actually want that limited alcohol that's in there, because it, thank you very much. It gives it a nice little kick. There's not enough in here so that it, you know, if a kid orders it, it's not going to affect them. But it just gives it a nice little kick, and the flavor, it just affects the flavor. And actually, I had it that it just kind of, it's weird. It gives it a little bitterness if you bring it to a boil. It has to do with the spices and the alcohol, and it's the way that it all comes together. And that's just the way that it was explained to me when I originally learned it from this client way back. So one thing about this recipe and the sauce is that because of the spices and stuff that's in it, it's a little dark, and the way people, when they saw it, like when we tested it at Archer, is they said it made the wings look kind of dirty. So people might object to it because of that if they don't know, you know, that's like kind of just the way jerk seasoning looks. So just be prepared for that if people have that complaint. It's just, that's just what the spices are. That's how they look.
If they really know what they're ordering,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If they know what they're ordering, it won't be a problem. But every once in a while, someone who doesn't might just have a bit of a, might have a complaint or say something. People who know Jamaican jerk will know. So you just want to, basically what I'd say is you just want to bring this together till you just gotta get, you know, little wisps of steam coming off of it, and it's hot and it's all together, and then you're done. You don't want to bring it to a boil.
So we don't have to reduce none of this?
You don't have to reduce anything, just comes right together and it's done. Really simple recipe. Just put it together. You just want it to come together, you don't want to simmer it. And like I said, this has a shelf life of, you know, 3 weeks to a month, but hopefully you'll go through it. And it's got some heat. You know, it'll, yeah, Jeff, did you take it, when you brought the sauces home the other day, did you bring the jerk with you?
Yeah. It went over well. It was very thick though. I don't know what caused, is it the honey coming back?
Yeah, the honey and the sugar, it's got some, and all the spices, it's thick. So this is one that you might want to keep a little warm. It'll, when you toss hot wings and stuff in it, it'll thin out. But this is one that you might, you know, keeping it in like a squeeze bottle, especially with all the chili flakes and stuff in it, would be very difficult to do. You might want to keep it in a speed pour from the bar, or in a, or just keep it in something you ladle on. Okay. Was it refrigerated when you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to get it hot, and then that's it. And we're done with sauces.
It's a very unique flavor. I mean, you either love it or you hate it. I don't know anybody that's really in between.
Yeah, when we did some tests at Archer, Lydia, the line cook, she's Puerto Rican. She, being Caribbean, she knows jerk, and she really likes jerk. She really liked it. So she says she makes it all the time. She says her brother, really likes to, make jerk chicken, and she says, she really enjoyed it. So that was a good thumbs up. So for those who like making jerk seasoning and like eating it, give it a try. And
One more wings for us?
that's it.
And one fry more wings so we can try that sauce?
Oh yeah, sure. Or we can do it.
Some extra attendance on that one. Attendance are the best
All right. So that's wing sauces, guys. So we're through with a lot of this. Hillside and Melrose are done.
Not till we get the beef started.
It's towards the end, guys. You gotta stay till dessert. Yeah. It is, we're going to use our cannellini beans instead of the chickpeas. Okay, so this gives it a little bit of a different flavor. It's not quite as strong. So we're adding a few other ingredients to it, and to give it also that little bit of that northern Italian flavor, and that gives it a bit of a uniqueness. Now, other people do it like this because hummus has really become a very universal dish. And one of the most, so one of the things that's added to hummus is tahini. And tahini is a paste that's made out of sesame seeds. Okay, so it's kind of like peanut butter made out of sesame seeds. In fact, some people, when they make hummus, actually use peanut butter. Now we're going to actually be using tahini, but when you go to the store and you buy different versions of hummus, you'll notice some of them are a little bit more gritty, and some of them are more creamy, and some taste better. And there are some cheaper and some more expensive, and some better and hummuses. And these are the ones, even when they use chickpeas, you'll probably notice the ones that you like more and the ones that are more expensive are the ones that use more tahini. And the reason for that is because tahini is A, expensive, and B, it's mostly fat. So that's why people actually, that's what makes good hummus. And we actually use a fair amount of tahini. So now the original, so when we were developing our recipe for hummus, I really tried very hard to see if we could actually get it all based on a number 10 can of cannellini beans, not cannellini beans, our Great Northern beans, which are very similar to cannellini beans. And if we could get one whole recipe to work in a Roboku, and it just barely doesn't fit. It's just too much. So we have to, so it's the equivalent of a half can of cannellini beans. I'm sorry, of Great Northern beans. So it's a pretty darn easy recipe to make because as far as cooking goes, the only real cooked ingredient in it is the roasted garlic. And the roasted garlic is something that you have in the pizza line. So you just go back there and take some of that. So you don't have to make any special roasted garlic for it. You just use a little bit of that. Otherwise, it's put it in your food processor and hit the button. It's that simple. This is my food processor from home, so I didn't just take theirs off the line for the whole time. Also, it's clear, so you can see what's going on inside. So it makes it a little bit easier. So we start off with our Great Northern beans. Okay, these are our Great Northern beans that we already used. So we just put them in our bowl. We take them out of the can and we drain and rinse them. Okay, the liquid that that beans are in has a lot of starch to it, and sometimes when you cook them, you actually want to use that starch, that liquid. But in our case, we don't. If you'll notice on a lot of recipes, I will say to actually drain and rinse them, because for the most part, you really want to make sure that you either want to use it or you don't want to use it. So these are drained and rinsed. So you want to make sure you rinse these off. Make sure that when your people are making these, that they rinse them, because that will affect the final flavor and texture of the dish. Okay, so we have our Great Northern beans drained and rinsed. Okay, so we have our roasted garlic. Okay, goes right in. We have our chopped garlic, some fresh chopped garlic, and just a little bit goes a long way, because this is raw garlic. We're not cooking it. We're not doing anything to soften it. It's just raw garlic, just chopped raw garlic. One quick way, actually, of cooking these, of making this go fast, is this is pre-chopped going in. What we can do is, before you put anything else in, is you can actually just run your food processor, take your whole cloves of garlic. Because this says 1 teaspoon of chopped garlic, that's 1 clove of garlic, really, 1 big clove. And you can just take your whole clove and toss it in, if you guys don't have pre-chopped garlic. Okay, usually though, you guys have a big thing of chopped garlic ready to go. If you don't have that though, just have your food processor running empty and toss clove of garlic in. That's a nice quick trick. Trick. All right. So now we have our sliced scallion. Okay. Okay. All right. So while I was talking, I actually got distracted and I wasn't really even following the recipe that well. So I made a mistake, which was to actually put the roasted garlic, chopped garlic, and the scallion in first all by the lonesome and run it to get those chopped up first before adding anything else. So I made a mistake. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't running it. So that was to get those all chopped up even a little bit more finely. But you just want to chop everything up and get it going. So just to start off, we got the beans and that stuff. So we're running it. All right. So now we're going to add everything else. Okay, so we have lemon juice. Kosher salt. This is some dried oregano. And some fresh rosemary. So here's our tahini, Helio. Is the olive oil here?
And then tahini?
No, I need 2 cups olive oil.
Oh, that I didn't get.
All right, so here's our tahini. Yeah, so for those who have not dealt with tahini before, it's kind of like sesame peanut butter. It's a Middle Eastern ingredient that who here has never dealt with tahini before? Yeah. You don't have to worry about it, Darrell, but it's good stuff.
Is there more to tahini than just ground sesame?
Nope, it's just pure ground sesame. That's all it is. What?
None.
All right. let this run, get nice and smooth. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our olive oil when it gets here. We got 2 cups of olive oil. You see it's in a Leo was very nice to put it in a squeeze bottle for me. And the reason he put it in a squeeze bottle is we want to add this slowly to it. So this makes it really easy to just add it in a nice slow stream. That way it doesn't, spill all over the place as you try to pour it out. So sometimes that happens if you try to pour it out of the wrong container. Because you want it to emulsify in. So if you were to just kind of add it all in at once, it would just kind of pool. So you got to do it slowly. So hummus is really nice and smooth, it's pasty. It's really great if you have no teeth.
What I was asking Jose was how we're gonna serve it.
You are really impatient.
That's why I don't want to say anything because you're gonna show us. You're gonna show us anything.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? Hold that.
Jose, how does habanero powder smell? All right. All right, so now that's done. We're home. It's done. That's it. All right. Shelf life on this is about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. But this is, the batches on this, because it's just what fits in your food processor, aren't that big. So although what I'd recommend is if you think you guys are going through a lot of it, just have a guy measure out what you need, and just do batch after batch after batch after batch after batch.
Can we freeze it?
Yeah. No, I would not recommend freezing it. Because if you freeze it, if you freeze it, 2 things would happen. The first thing is that your olive oil will come out of suspension, and the second thing is I will tape a bottle of habanero powder to your face. So.
Well, the oil will separate if you freeze
Yeah.
it.
No. So that's what'll happen if you freeze it.
I won't freeze it.
All right. So the second element that comes with it, and it's actually even easier to make, is the peppadew. Is the peppadew drizzle. So one of the things that gets topped with the peppadew drizzle. So peppadews are a pepper. So it's actually. Let's get this out of the way real quick. So peppadews are a brand new species of pepper that were actually discovered in the late 1990s. They're actually from South Africa. And this is a peppadew. They're really cute. For those of you who like goat cheese or Boursin or something like that, these go great with goat cheese. They come pickled. Like I said, they're from South Africa, and they come in these cans. And these cans I'll have this nice little doohickey on top, this little grate. And what you want to do is you want to use that, great. Or if you want something else and you want to drain off all the liquid that they come in, but you want to save the liquid. So if you notice, these are in a liquid, and you want to, and for each batch, you want to take 1.5 pounds of Peppadews and 1 cup of liquid, and you want to put them in a blender, not a food processor, but a blender. Okay. So if you have a so if you have a Blendtec, or your bar blender, or or what's even better is if you have a Vitamix at your restaurant, okay? You want to use that, and then you put your Peppadew, so 1.5 pounds Peppadew peppers and 1 cup of the liquid from your can into your blender, and you blend the crap out of it so it's as smooth as possible, right? So here, I actually used I used the blender here, and it has a timer on it. I actually hit the blender, and I actually let it run 4 times to get it as smooth as I wanted it to be. So it has to be really, really smooth. But then what you get is you get this Peppadew drizzle, and that's this. And this is what we're going to use to top our hummus for when we serve it, right? That's one of the ways we're going to serve it. Okay?
Ellen,
Yeah.
you said a long time, what do you mean? Because 5 minutes might be a long time to one person, or 20 minutes?
Until it's really, really smooth. So it depends on your blender. I have a Vitamix at home. I blend it on high. It takes about 45 seconds to a minute, and it'll wake up the entire building. So you really want to get it as smooth as possible. So you want to get when I say a long time, it's I don't mean by 10 minutes or something, but just really, really, really smooth until there are no noticeable any chunks or even tiny chunks in it. Very, very smooth. So then it comes to how we're going to plate it. And actually, I want to get a carrot very quickly. Not carrot, a cucumber very quickly, so I can show you how we're going to cut these cucumbers. So I need 1 plate set. Stuff out of the way. Ooh, let's move my table. So, folks, a little tight. I also don't want to knock over the camera. So the first thing is we're going to have, it's 1 cup. So it's 1 cup of, it's 2 and 3, 3. So it's 1 cup of hummus that goes in the bowl, right? So this here is 4 ounces. So you can go. Two of these. I'm going to use a 1 cup measure. Stuck in so I can put the moisture in. Just kind of want to flatten out, give a little swirl to it. Now this here is our Peppadew drizzle. So what we want to do is we want to go from corner to corner on half of it. And the reason we go on half is just in case some people might not like it, because people are sharing. So that way they don't have to worry about half of it. Now what we have is you get celery, carrots, cucumber, and some garlic bread wedges. So on the cucumber, guys, we're gonna cut it on the bias, okay? So we get 4 pieces of each. So we have these bias cuts. Nice. All right, so this plating is only temporary until we get the boards, and then it's going to change up a bit. So on this platter, we're going to take our cucumbers, and we're going to put them 2 on each side like that.
What if somebody wants to order an additional side of the, what is it called?
The drizzle? Garnish? The drizzle?
The whole, like a set of the whole sauce, like the hummus, whatever?
The pepperdew? Drizzle?
No, the whole
Oh.
thing. Let's say
The whole-
they didn't hit enough of it, and they want to order a whole another cup of it.
The
Okay,
hummus?
Yes.
Hummus.
They can order a whole other order.
Yeah, it's a whole order, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
No, but what if they didn't, what if they didn't have enough, and they still have like bread and stuff sitting on
more
their
like
plate,
extra.
like an extra,
I doubt that will be the case.
you think so?
Yeah. So let me show you how we're gonna cut the bread. So they get 2 pieces of bread, 2 pieces of toast. It's the equivalent of, you know, when you make the, either the
Meatballs?
yeah, the meatballs or the bruschetta, okay? So the way you cut it though is, just gonna cut it into 4 wedges for each one. Okay? And we have 4 little, 8 little wedges. And we're gonna put, just gonna pile them up in the corner. For each. And on the side of the plate. In there. And then they get 4 carrot sticks and 4 celery sticks. And this also gets a little bit of parsley on top here, which I don't have on there. So that's on the platter, that's the hummus plate, okay? And then it's gonna change up when we have some boards being special made, so it's gonna come out on some boards. All right? Rage. It is so popular that even McDonald's is putting it on their menu now.
No kidding.
It is. It's funny that McDonald's actually, their old CEO actually said that they started an advertising campaign saying that they would never put kale on their menu because they were McDonald's. And then he was fired, and then their new CEO said, we need to put kale on our menu. So now McDonald's is actually putting kale on their menu. So the question is whether or not kale should actually go on the menu. But kale is one of those things that Joe really would like on the menu. You know, this is going towards, you know, we want to offer some healthier items for our customers. Even, you know, whether or not we actually even sell tons of it, just even having the option is, you know, we want to be responsible and have the option.
Something else for me to eat on my
Yeah.
salad,
We want to feed Joanne, keep her regular.
Yeah.
So, so that's how we roll. So this is a whole leaf kale. Obviously, we're using an old kale. We used to use baby kale originally in the salad, actually, but we're changing it to adult kale for a couple reasons. The first one is according to Joe, baby kale was not, you know, as healthy as adult kale. So we're gonna go to adult kale. Also, baby kale doesn't have the shelf life as adult kale. This stuff can actually stick around in your refrigerator as is like 2 weeks. I mean,
3 weeks.
Yeah, this stuff will last forever, especially uncut, which is great. Once it's cut, it'll probably last almost a week, which is good. But we still want to not cut too much of it. However, this is also an item that, for those of you who have buffets, it actually goes pretty well on buffets. People eat on buffet at Archer?
Not really. To be
It
honest
looks
with you.
beautiful on your buffets. So,
It's
so-
a lot of color too.
yeah, it's a lot of color. When it comes to cleaning kale, this stalk is really, really woody and tough, so you don't want the stalk in it. So you just have to make sure that you can clean it in a couple of different ways. The first one is you can either actually just pull it off. You know, you can kind of strip it off the stalk like this, and then what tears off this bit of stalk here is actually edible. That's fine. That'll be okay. The other way is it can be taken away from you entirely. Bring it back for a second. Yeah, thanks.
You know, I was gonna say,
Um,
you asked about the buffet over there, people eat
Yeah.
the most unhealthy that are.
I know. It's, you know, I once had someone say to me, you know, a guy had a joke, you know, my favorite type of food is buffet. So another way actually of cleaning off kale is you can just take a knife and you run your knife actually up the stalk and you just clean it off that way. And you just kind of cut it off towards the end of the stalk like that. And that's how you clean it up. So you can clean it up that way. So it takes a little bit longer to clean up than like romaine or something. We're also not going to sell nearly as much of this as you will your other salads. And if we do, fantastic. And we'll deal with it then and the labor that's associated with it. I believe we can actually buy some chopped kale. But up until then, I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. But it's, you know, it's got a pretty earthy flavor to it, and it's very healthy. I mean, packed with nutrients and fiber, and it takes, you know, energy to digest. And I actually really like the stuff. You know, there are a lot of people who think it tastes like dirt and all. I like kale. We're going to use it in another dish. You're going to see what we're going to do with it. I'm actually not going to give you a demo on it. I'm just going to explain it. You know, it's really good for frying. It's robust. It's actually really good as ground cover too. So for those of you into gardening, so it's but you know, as in that being the case, I had a really good friend who lived in a building that they had really beautiful gardening around the building, and they used kale as ground cover. And I wanted to make a salad once, so I walked out of the building and I cut a piece of kale. I had a kale out and I took it home. So I washed it really well, and it was, you know, it was part of the locavore movement before people were even into it. I was eating Lincoln Park kale, so it worked. So the elements that go into this dish, if you notice, you know, here's the cheat sheet that goes along with it, and I'll make sure that before we start off that everyone gets one of these laminated.
You know,
Okay,
George used it on a pasta. Do you have a recipe there for the buffet?
for the buffet.
Yeah, I think you have a recipe for a kale with pasta and onions. I don't know what, he got it
Oh.
from the recipe book.
Okay, I might have had that.
That I think he did.
Okay. Hot pasta.
Yes.
I was thinking of a salad.
No.
Oh,
hot
yeah.
pasta.
There's, yeah, okay. Yeah, there's, I was using up kale for the buffet because there's a soup with it and there's a couple things,
Hot
yeah.
pasta, yeah.
Yeah, kale's very, I mean, it's a beautiful green. I mean, it's been used for centuries. I mean, the Italians have used, Greeks have used kale, and the Portuguese. So it's a very healthy thing. I mean, it's kept people alive. It's hearty. So it has your standard stuff. So it's a very simple salad. The citrus balsamic vinaigrette, it's our balsamic vinaigrette that we use, and just a couple other things added to it just to give it a little bit more oomph, a little bit more sweetness, and a little different flavor to it. So it's, you know, with some orange juice, some lemon juice, a little bit of lime zest, and everyone's favorite ingredient now, honey. Just a touch of honey. Just to give it a little natural, more sweetness to it, but just a little bit. So we're gonna make, just to show you how to make the salad and make it nice and pretty. So as you guys know how things go, so we're gonna do an entree portion of it. So is this actually measured out?
No, it's
Okay. So we're gonna take our an entree portion of our mix, and it's chopped. So after you clean it, you just chop your kale like you would your other salad. Hey, basically it's better now. You chop it through your chopper like you would your other greens. And it's mixed with some radicchio, a little bit of green cabbage, all right, that's shredded, and some carrots. Okay, that kind of lightens it up a little bit and gives it a little bit more color in the mix. All right, so then using our portioning tools for entree, for our sliced almonds, the first we use 1.5 of these. It's tossed. Three ounces of our vinaigrette. And we toss. Some people like to use their hands with gloves on. I always like to use tongs. Now, one of the nice things about kale being so hearty is that, you know, usually when you know, I've always liked to, when I use tongs, I'm pretty gentle and I can toss with it. But, you know, unlike our other lettuces, is that honestly, if you wanted to get in here and just rip that crap out of it, it'll still be fine. It's pretty bulletproof, which is nice. So considering, you know, issues we've had with lettuces going bad, maybe we should just go to all kale salads and we won't have a problem. But then again, we won't sell as many salads probably. But
it's all the rage.
what?
It's all the rage.
Yeah.
So everyone will-
It'll essentially solve a problem by causing another. Also doesn't really wilt as much as other lettuces, so it'll, with the dressing on it, it'll last quite a while. Doesn't have the moisture content of other lettuces either. Technically it's cabbage, which is really nice too. If you really think about it, I mean, well, technically it would be a slaw, this anyway. We're really making a slaw, you know? No, you can't freeze it.
Try it, please.
Whippersnapper. So we got mandarin oranges. Gives it a
Now,
nice sweetness.
Do we drain the water like we normally do with the other
Yeah.
lettuce? Same thing?
Yeah,
Like when you wash
you
it?
want to wash it and drain the water, yeah. You always want to wash your lettuces. Oranges. Just put some craisins on it. So a little bit of sweetness to counteract it. the bitterness of the lettuces, and whip her in. Looks like a fiesta on a plate. So there we go, kale salad. Alrighty. Oh, let's put down to- There's your money shot. So we're gonna start off with our breadcrumbs, okay? So for our breadcrumbs, we're going to use 6 of our ciabatta rolls that we use for our sandwiches. And this is a great use of like our older ciabatta rolls. What you want to do is you just want to tear them up into pieces and toss them into the food processor. Okay. And your Robocoup. Now, one of the things you want to be careful not to do is over-process them into like really fine breadcrumbs. You kind of want to have, kind of larger, larger crumbs is the way I would describe it. This has a bit of a smaller capacity than our regular Robocoup, so I might do this in two batches. Now that I think of it. Can you grab me that smaller, like the medium bowl in that?
Oh, bowl?
Yeah. Did Celeste eat a whole salad?
I really did. You're probably gonna pass out because your system's in shock. It's like, girl, what is this?
She's gonna keep her feet, folks.
Well, 6 more months. Good, I'm actually, I like it.
You want to pull some. So basically, you want to pulse the breadcrumbs until they. Like I said, you want to get like some, like I said, large crumbs. You don't want them to be really fine. You don't want to have like really huge pieces, but you want to have some texture to it.
Looks like the bag stuffing, like if you get the crumble.
That's a great way of describing it. Bag stuffing. This actually might give it a little bit more. Just a touch more. You want it to have some texture. You want it to, be a. Because when it's really fine, no one wants it to be that fine a crumb. Someone want to come up and try to get the right crumb on this? Anybody? Anybody? Do I have a volunteer? Who's brave? Anybody?
Chrissy,
Come on. Yeah, there we
come
go.
on, Chrissy.
Arturo said he'd do it. Come on, Arturo.
You want me to help you with the bread? I gotta wash
Yeah.
my hands.
I can do that real quick.
By the time he washes his hands, he'll come on.
Yep.
So my son's in Vegas. He sent me a picture. Tell me who this person is.
Oh, you already finished?
You can do this. Come on.
Take a break.
All right.
Who is that?
Yep.
The Tyson?
Mike Tyson.
Okay.
All right. I hope I don't break this thing.
Actually, there you go. There you go.
Easy, boy.
Hit the pulse button.
Easy. Easy, all right, let's get this done.
Pulse a little longer than that.
Now, I know this, you're gonna wanna freeze a lot of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Do it.
This you could probably actually freeze.
That was my next question. I think we're done. No?
You want to go more than that. These are a little big.
Sure.
You'll be fine.
This is against Mexicans.
I do not have a anti-Mexican food processor.
I couldn't find the taco sauce recipe in the packet.
Not in the packet?
Anybody else find that? Maybe it was missing mine, but.
Cocktail sauce?
Hey guys, again, we're gonna have to be here till 5 o'clock.
No, I'll, I forgot to put it in there. Give it just a few more pulses, you'll be good.
You got it.
Give it like 3 long pulses, you'll be good. There you go. All right,
Finally.
we're good.
Let me shut the power out before I cut my fingers off.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Good job for sure.
All right.
Sometimes those ain't.
Yeah. Sometimes other things.
Yes.
And just making the breadcrumbs, just take some parsley, some chopped parsley. All right. A little bit of garlic butter. And then we just mix.
What is the shelf life for,
Breadcrumbs. Shelf life for breadcrumbs is gonna be a couple days.
What if you freeze that?
But if you freeze them,
You gotta look in your freezer, you're gonna have.
what I would recommend as far as the breadcrumbs go is you, is if you make the breadcrumbs themselves, just, without the parsley and the garlic butter, just, the bread itself. If you freeze it, it'll be, obviously, it'll have quite a long shelf life. And then daily, if you just add the garlic butter and the parsley, it'll last in your refrigerator for 2 days and you'll be fine. It's something that you'll go through and you don't want to.
do you think we're gonna sell a lot of macaroni sheet?
I hope so.
That's the idea.
Yeah. I think it'll go. I think that I think it's something that will do pretty darn well.
It's like kale.
I think it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, I was
of
gonna
kale.
say, in no way is it like
Oh, no,
kale.
it's like all the rage. Everyone has a mac and cheese. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, everyone got kale. That's not that saying, oh, the health factors in mac and cheese.
It goes pretty well on the buffet by us, but again, sometimes people eat something on the buffet, if it's all included, rather than
They'll just eat it.
order it, yeah. No, if it's on the buffet, I'll eat it, but I won't order it.
Well, it seems they don't eat it on the buffet. They don't eat the kale on the buffet, so maybe they'll order it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So these are the breadcrumbs.
Put the kale on everything.
So these will. Yeah. Dan eats it
That's why
every
we
day.
have to sell it.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the breadcrumbs. They're moistened so that they'll brown nicely in the convection oven when we plate it, and you'll see. We'll get to that. Don't jump ahead. Okay. So these are our breadcrumbs. All right. So let's talk about making the sauce. So we have our pan. The recipe we're gonna go through is the 3.5 quart one. We're gonna make it smaller recipe. Pardon me, folks. All right. We're gonna start with our butter, right? So we got 4 ounces. We'll melt that. Medium heat. Now this mac and cheese recipe it was developed, the whole point of it was so that we would have the ability to, make it cool and then reheat it. So it has some elements to it, which are, so it has the cream cheese in it, and that's one of those elements that allows it to stay nice and creamy and reheatable like that. And also, so we have some really sharp elements to counteract that. So it's a nice sharp sauce. So we're gonna add our flour to make our roux, okay? And we're gonna add mustard powder, okay? And this adds some flavor, a little bit of sharpness to it, okay? So we're gonna add this, and we're gonna cook our roux until it becomes fragrant and nutty, okay? We're gonna cook out the raw flavor in our flour, okay? It's a technical term, it's called dextrinizing our flour, actually. That'll be a test. And one of the ways you know that your flour that your roux is done, it's gonna take 1 to 2 minutes. Because you'll see it actually start to loosen up. See how it's kind of thick, pasty like this, guys? All right? Is it's going to start to kind of thin out a little bit. You'll see some of the butter start to come out, suspension. So as you cook your flour, as you cook your roux, the more you cook it, the less it actually thickens. So like in Cajun Creole cooking, they have these dark brick roux that are really cooked. The flours are cooked till they're really dark. Those almost do no thickening. They're really flavoring agents. So the more you cook a roux, the less it actually will thicken. But we're using this as a thickening agent. So what we're really just trying to do is we're just trying to make it so that it doesn't have a raw flour. We just really don't want that raw flour. So we're just going to cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes. We want to whisk it constantly because what's going to happen is that if we don't, the roux can burn. Your flour can burn.
Did everybody's wing sauce come in from the habanero and the srirachas or whatever before?
You order it today. You order something, right? You ordered it for, you ordered the bottle.
All right, guys, so you see how this is now thinner? Okay, see how this is thinner than it was? How it's thick? One of the things that your roux is cooked to the point where it's good to go. All right, so now you have your milk. So we want to slowly add our milk. We add it all at once, you might get clumping. We want to slowly add the milk because what's going to happen is it's going to start to thicken. And that starch is going to start to gelatinize. Right? So it's going to start to thicken. So we want to slowly add our milk, and it looks like it's clumping. Right? But the reason we're doing it slowly is we're actually whisking out these clumps as we're adding. If we add it all at once, it actually wouldn't work out. So that's why we're actually adding just a little bit at a time. And as we do it, it's going to actually thin out. So by adding that liquid to it, our starch gelatinized. Same process actually as with cornstarch. Okay. And once you get to a point where it kind of starts to thin out, after you've added your milk, you can do it a little bit faster. Now we can add our whipping cream. What we want to do is we want to bring this to a simmer. And as we bring this to a simmer, it's going to thicken, okay? Because not all of the starch that was in this actually gelatinized. So we're going to bring this to a simmer, it's going to boil, and then it's going to fully thicken. So it's going to get the consistency of kind of like a, sometimes you say like heavy cream, but it's going to get like this, you know, this thickened consistency. So you just want to, you want to whisk it every once in a while. You want to mix it because if you don't, it'll burn on the bottom. Because what you have here is you have starches, you have the milk itself and the cream. They actually have sugars in them. They have lactose. Those can burn. So you just want to mix it every once in a while. So that's the base of our sauce. Does anyone know what this is called? I know Brian does. Thank you. Anybody else? Bechamel. There we go.
Can you repeat that one?
Bechamel.
Okay.
It's called bechamel. This is one of the mother sauces.
Bechamel.
All right. So now we only have a few more ingredients left. All right. So we have cream cheese. Right. We have Fontina cheese. We have very sharp cheddar. Right. We have Belton Farms extra sharp cheddar. Right. This stuff's from England. It's aged. It's really nice and sharp. We have grated Parmesan cheese. All right. So that's our Parmesan cheese. We put it in the food processor to make it nice and grated, so it'll melt in. And then we have some Cholula hot sauce, and that actually improves the flavor. All right. One of the reasons that we use the Cholula hot sauce is because, so there are lots of different types of flavor enhancers, and salt is one of them. So the way, I've explained this to you guys before, so the way salt works as a flavor enhancer is that the majority of your tongue, your taste buds, are actually meant to taste salt. So when you add salt to things, particularly fat, so fat will coat your tongue in dense flavors. But when you add salt, your tongue will taste salt, and it'll pick up the flavors that are then connected with that salt. So capsaicin, which is what makes things spicy, okay, which is in hot sauce, it will bind to the taste receptors on your tongue, right? It binds to nerve cells, binds to things like that. And the reason that things actually seem spicy is that capsaicin will bind to your nerve receptors and then actually tricks your brain into thinking that that area of your body, your tongue in particular, is on fire. That's actually what happens in your brain. And so one of the reasons that capsaicin will enhance flavors if used correctly is by adding a little bit of it, is because it'll take those flavors and it'll bind them to your tongue, to your taste buds. So if you use a little bit of capsaicin in certain things, a little hot sauce, it'll enhance those flavors. So we're using some really salty cheeses in here, so we don't want to add salt to this. We don't need to add salt to this to make it salty. We don't need to make it saltier to enhance the flavors. So that's why we actually add a little bit of hot sauce in the end to enhance the flavors of it. Because we have, you know, Fontina has some salt in it. The cheddar's pretty darn salty. This Parmesan is really salty. So we're already adding enough salt to this. But if we want to enhance the flavors, we don't need to add salt. We can add a little bit of hot sauce to it, and that will enhance those flavors without having to add salt. So that's why we add that little bit of hot sauce at the end. All right, so this is coming to a boil. See how it started to thicken? See how it's thicker already? All right. All right. So this is coming to a boil and it started to thicken. It's already it's nice and thicker. All right. So you got to be careful when you're doing this, because if it comes to a boil, what's going to happen is it's going to boil over. So make sure you guys are paying attention to this when they make it, because I almost guarantee you that if they're you know, not paying attention, they're going to get boilovers. So got to be careful about it. So now we're going to turn our heat down to low. And we're going to start adding our cream cheese. And we're going to add our cream cheese first, because the cream cheese is going to, it's a stabilizer, really. Okay? This works to add a little bit at a time, a couple pieces at a time, and we want to whisk constantly. Oftentimes when you add cheese and stuff like that to like a roux to make a cheese sauce, you actually turn the heat off completely. Otherwise, if you have too much heat, it'll cause it to separate. But cream cheese being, you know, such a stabilizing ingredient, you actually, you know, you need that, that heat's okay, and it'll help it incorporate a lot easier. So you want to whisk constantly as you're adding it, because it's not going to incorporate itself. So you just need to add a little bit at a time. And it's going to take a little bit of work. You get a bit of a workout doing this. It's gonna melt in. Just take some time. Kind of like the whisk do the work, and you'll start to feel it on the bottom of the pan. And your whisk is gonna just kind of get to work. So when you're making a cheese sauce, one of the most common things that can happen is that it can break, and then it becomes lumpy and greasy. So that's why we're going to use this, so that this doesn't happen. It's our emulsifying ingredient, and this also allows our cheese sauce to be cooled and reheated. A lot of recipes that use cream cheese, I've just found that they're kind of dull, and that's why, you know, we're using, you know, this Belton Farms cheese. They're not using our usual shredded cheddar, which is, you know, pretty mild. It's actually very mild compared to this. We want something really with a lot of pop to it, a lot of punch. Now once this is all incorporated, okay, we're gonna add our Fontina. So the order we're going in is actually the better melting cheeses. And the reason for that is because the more stable the cheese goes in first, because that way we have a more stable melting platform for our less stable cheeses. So the moisture content of cheese really has a lot to do with how well it melts into a sauce. Okay, so the higher the moisture content, the better it is for making a cheese sauce when it comes to actually, you know, how stable it is. So we have a fontina, so we add it just a little bit at a time. If you add it all at once, it's gonna separate out. You're incorporating it. It's like you're making a vinaigrette and you're adding your oil. It's basically, because cheese is mostly fat. Okay? And when you age cheese, what happens, because there's a lot of salt in there, it starts to crystallize. And so that crystalline structure of the cheese, it'll cause it to separate. So you need to do it slowly, just a little bit at a time. And if you added all sharp cheddar, it would all just separate out. All right, now we get to our cheddar. So this is, like I said, this is Belton Farms aged white cheddar from England. Stuff's 18 months old, 24 months old. Really nice sharp cheddar, and it's got a really pronounced flavor. Now we also shred our cheddar ourselves. The reason we shred our cheese is because when you get pre-shredded cheese, it's mixed with cellulose. If you add cellulose to a cheese sauce, it causes it to break. So you don't want to use pre-shredded cheese. So we want to pre-shred it. We want to shred our own cheese. You also don't want to like shred a bunch of cheese and just keep it in the fridge ready to go.
Don't freeze it.
And I was just about to say, don't freeze it.
Hey, you have to ask.
Yeah.
So we can definitely cannot freeze that sauce.
Do not freeze this sauce.
Just freeze the arch.
No, the reason why that's a good question, because sometimes we used to make it for the, we're still making it for the buffet, and it just sits there, and sometimes we don't finish it all. It just goes, you know, to waste.
It has a shelf life of about a week.
But we,
What size wheel does this come in?
10 pounds.
So it would probably be a good idea for them to break it down and backpack by portion,
Yeah.
like
that's
1
fine.
pound, if you're gonna, whatever size portion you're gonna do.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, doesn't really, I mean, the Belton Farm or the Fontina?
Both, I guess.
The Belton Farm itself comes in 5-pound blocks. The Fontina comes in 10-pound wheels. Yeah.
I just said, the Belton Farm cheese is expensive, they should really
Yeah.
take care of it so it doesn't
The mold.
dry out or mold.
Yeah.
You wanna make sure you keep it protected.
Yeah, because if you
What's the shelf life of the cheese when it comes like in the block?
in the block, when it's vacuum packed,
Yeah.
probably years. You know, cheese was invented in order to, you know, stabilize milk and make it last quite a long time. And it was invented thousands and thousands of years ago before refrigeration. In fact, if you take cheese and cover it in wax, you don't even have to refrigerate it. So that's why the little baby bells and things like that are covered in wax. You know, so it's driving the moisture out, so it's low moisture content. You add salt, it's high salt content, so it's preserved. It's preserved milk. That's what cheese is. It's the whole history of cheese. All right, so now we're on to our Parmesan. Add a little bit at a time. Getting a bit of a workout because it's getting thicker.
Which Parmesan is this?
This is our regular Parmesan. You just put it in food processor to make it creamy.
So we're not gonna be allowed to put it on the buffet no more then?
Sure, you can put it on the buffet. Just don't use the noodle that we're going to be using for the order.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah. Although if you want to, although I would say the question is, if you put it on the buffet, is that going to mean that people aren't going to order it in the restaurant? What do you think?
Probably not, because kids are the ones that order the most.
All right, so now this is incorporated. So we're going to turn off our heat. And we're going to add a tablespoon of salt, and a tablespoon and a half of sauce. Kosher salt. Cholula. Okay, when you come back, can you bring a soup bowl and some shredded cherry too? So, actually, two small sauce pan, saute pans. That one's a little big. Two small saute pans. That was a little big. All right. All right. That's our cheese sauce, guys. You guys all look so excited.
Not really, it takes a long time.
Yeah, it does. Takes a little bit of time. Takes a little bit of time, but so that's good food. You know,
Yeah.
you can't rush it.
No, I'm saying, because I made it, we
Yeah.
already making it, so.
Yeah.
Oh, Archer.
Dude, must be fun. Don't go near the board.
All right. That's cheese sauce. All right, now we're gonna get into portion. Well, no, no. The spoodle. How'd that go? Oh, that 3-ounce spoodle I had. Oh. All right, so here's how we do this. For the portion, we take heaping. This isn't cold, so a little bit more. So 10 ounces, 1 black scoop of this, heaping spoodle of sauce. We want to get it nice and boiling. And we add our pasta. 8 ounces of it. Then we toss it. If it tosses, or we have to spin. Now, one of the options that we get, it's fresh and fully cooked. Doesn't need to be boiled or anything. One of the options that people have is they can load it up with bacon for $1.49. If they choose that option, it's a 1 blue scoop of bacon. The crisp bacon, just add it in. Okay? That's all it is. That's one option. So once this is hot through, just want to simmer it for a minute.
Oh,
This is- All right. So now this has gotten hot, guys. All we're gonna do we put it in the skillet. The skillet's too small to do this on the stove, by the way. So you just want to put it in the skillet off from a separate pan. So we put it in our skillet. We top it with one green scoop of breadcrumbs,
Frozen.
frozen.
Now you're gonna keep saying that
I
every time we have a meeting.
I will.
And then put it on a sheet pan, okay? And then put it in your convection oven, right? 420 convection oven, and then it goes in your oven for 4 to 6 minutes, depending on which oven you have. So at Beverly, you guys don't have like one of those really fast blasting ovens like they have like at Archer. That takes about 4 minutes at Archer. But you're probably gonna take about 6 minutes in your oven, okay? At Beverly. But you wanna put it on a sheet pan because it's gonna bubble over sometimes. So if you don't put it on a sheet pan, say there's a garlic bread or something underneath, or this might be a cobbler, you don't want it to bubble over into the cobbler. Okay, so put a sheet pan underneath it. All right, so you put it in, then it comes out, then it goes right on that. Right, and that's your service. Okay, really nice and gooey. This noodle doesn't absorb nearly as much pasta, as moisture as a dry noodle. All right, now I don't have the spoodle I had is gone, so I'll use a smaller one because it was the 3 ounce before. So we'll add, this one's a little bit smaller, but so for the kids portion, so half the sauce, 4 ounces of pasta, all right? Yeah, so 5 ounces of pasta, 5 ounces of sauce, 4 ounces of pasta.
Is there a big taste difference between our regular rigatoni noodle and that noodle?
Yeah, this noodle is actually made with fresh ricotta in it, so it's a denser noodle. It's almost like a dumpling. We want to heat through, and you want to make sure you heat this through because we're not going to put this in the oven because we don't want to give a hot skillet, screaming hot skillet to a kid. Yeah. Personally,
Sometimes I do.
I was just about to say.
If you were in
They
a
don't stop
restaurant this
crying.
weekend, yes.
Personally, I would, but because I think that would be good for the gene pool. But I also think that lawn darts are a great toy.
It's not served with bread at all?
No, and this actually comes. This dish also does not come with super salad. All right,
The full portion.
the full portion. So. So a little bit of.
bread.
Hot.
While this dish is positioned with our pastas, we're really hoping that it'll kind of turn into one of those shareable dishes.
Yeah.
Where people will order it and share it, with the pizza. So eventually we may move it to an appetizer or something else, but it's starting in pasta for right now.
Yeah. Maybe this isn't the right bowl for that.
Just top of the cheese.
Just try, no, just the cheese. That way it's a little bit less.
Will it fit in the square?
I'm thinking maybe we use the square. But it's dense. I mean, that's maybe we'll try it in the square
I
bowl.
think that bowl holds like 10 or 12 ounces.
Yeah, I think we'll go with the square bowl. Square bowl it is, folks. The quinoa in a cold pan, okay? and you want to heat it in that pan cold, and you want to move it around.
No oil.
No oil, completely dry. And what you want to do is you want to wait until you're going to smell a nutty smell, and you're going to start to hear some teeny tiny little pops. The way I would describe it is almost like Rice Krispie type pops. Right? And the moment you hear that, you take it off the heat and you put it outside. And that's how you get that toasty, nutty flavor in your quinoa. If you actually toast it in oil, it makes your quinoa bitter. So you just want to toast it dry. And just get that little bit of oil flavor. All right? You want to do a medium-high heat. You don't want to do it too high or you could burn your quinoa.
Why the red one? I don't remember.
The red one because it looks pretty and that's what Fox River had.
Oh,
That's for-
gotcha. Gotcha, 'cause I
If
know
they had
what-
that yellow or?
That's the head, yeah, at yellow.
Yeah.
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 So you want to listen, and it's sometimes it gets a little hard because of the hoods. But you want to listen, and you'll just start to hear like little pops.
Is there a difference in taste from the red, or? you
Very
guys
little, if any.
feel-
You can hear them powdering.
Yeah. Once you hear the pops, it's done. And your quinoa's toasted. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like Rice Krispies. That's it. It's done. All right. So then once it's toasted, all right. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our olive oil to the pan. Okay. So we got our olive oil. Then we got our chopped onion. Now kosher salt. And the reason we have them at the same time is because the salt's gonna help to draw out some of the moisture from the onion, sweat it. So it cooks a little bit faster, also a little bit better. Also, when you draw that moisture out of the onion, you get that water in the pan. Your onion doesn't burn as quickly. Okay, so it caramelizes and it cooks a little bit better. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna saute it until it softens and it just gets a little bit of a light golden color. Depending on your stove, that's gonna could take about 5 minutes. All right. So I know what you guys are thinking, like, are we gonna sit here the entire time while this quinoa cooks? No, I have other cooking. I have places to be, people.
It's approximately a 20-minute cook, is that right?
Yeah, about 18 to 22 minutes is how long it's gonna take to cook. So, wait, what? Covered. Yeah. Who here has cooked quinoa before? Celeste has. Brian has not raised his hand. It's a first. Usually Brian has cooked stuff. Tastes like quinoa. I don't say it to me to be a smartass. It's just, it's one of those things where it's a very unique flavor. It's got a nuttiness to it, and it should have a little bit of a bite. So it should be a little al dente. So it's not something that's, some people will cook quinoa till it's like really soft. It's actually overcooking it. But it has the best way to describe it is like a nuttiness to it. It's kind of, it's like if you were to say, what if I took rice and lentils and mixed it together?
That's what I'm thinking, like what pasta or rice or, what is.
Yeah, it's like, what if I mixed rice and lentils together, but not? Like it really is quinoa.
Now, since we added, I'm sorry, go ahead. Since we added all these items to the menu, are we gonna have a front of the house meeting? Because if somebody asks, I never heard of this quinoa before.
And obviously, if a customer sees it on the menu, they're gonna wanna know what it is.
No, that's just gonna be the fun of it.
You're such a smart
Just
ass.
go with the
That's
flow.
all right, I'm like, what?
Actually, everyone's getting your number, and they're just getting a note that says, no, you can't freeze it.
I'll still try.
Yes, there will be front of house. Yes, there will be front of house meetings. They will be learning quite a bit. Let's just say that Jenny Justice is very excited to explain quinoa to people.
That's what I was saying right now, because she says, can you want it to taste like? And you're like, hey, well, it tastes kind of like lentil and rice together.
Yeah.
What type of food is this?
Quinoa is a grain. It's actually, the best way to describe it is it's an ancient grain.
Peru?
From Peru, it's from Peru. It's from the Andes.
Yeah.
And what type of customer orders this? No, I'm serious, just like a health nut or?
Yeah, a health nut is an interesting way of putting it.
What would be a typical person that would order?
Maybe a typical person. It's,
Somebody who would like to try something
what are you
different.
saying? Like they try to pin people down?
Oh, God, like a hipster.
Yeah.
Hipsters ordered this quinoa.
How do you
Maybe
so
yours.
familiar with this thing?
No, quinoa is something that
I don't know, I just come across it.
something's getting very foamy. I would say that a customer that would order quinoa,
Like a young couple, 20s, 30s, no kids, wine,
Plaid shirt, handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
nightclub afterwards.
yeah, they drive a Canadian import car. So what's our
What I'm getting is-
what's our I'm really glad you're not a cop, because you would get into a lot of trouble.
He's writing a book.
Yeah. All right, so so now that our onion is, softened and a little bit golden, we're gonna add our garlic, okay, and we're gonna saute that till it's nice and fragrant. Okay, give that about 30 seconds to a minute. Okay. No, I would say the people who would order this they're going to vary. You're going to have people who would order this would be vegetarians or vegans. Okay, this would definitely appeal to them because this dish is without chicken. The other demographic that would order this would definitely be people who are health minded. The dish itself is finished with corn because so some people, if they're paleo, wouldn't order it, or they'd order it without the corn. So now we're gonna add our vegetable stock, okay? And there's a reason we add this first. And it's because, like I said, if you toast your quinoa in the oil, it gets bitter. So you add the vegetable stock to that first to disperse the oil. And then you add your quinoa. And then from this point on, it actually cooks very similar to rice. Okay, and you know it's done when it's softened and it's less toothsome. It's got a little bite to it. Almost like an al dente pasta. But then it also has like this little thing, it's almost like a little tendril that kind of curls out of it, and that.
And it will stay good for how long?
This will stay good for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. You guys will get, I'm gonna update your checklists and stuff, so this will all be on it with your expiration dates, with your shelf lives. I also actually changed something I'm gonna go through and change on a lot of the recipes. Leo had a really great idea. He said that a lot of people had questions about shelf lives and seeing that a lot of the cooks. So I actually changed the format of the recipes. And you'll see that coming up, I'm gonna change it, where on the recipes themselves, you'll see the shelf life. As they're written, but I'm gonna go through and put the shelf life on. All right, so now we're gonna bring this to a boil. And from this point on, like I said, it's like cooking rice. So you bring it to a boil, and then you clamp the lid on it, or you put foil on it, and then you let it simmer for 18 to 22 minutes. And halfway through, though, you want to check it and give it a stir. Okay, and that's quinoa. And then we're gonna go grab the finished one. And then I'll show you how we finish.
Hey, find your sandwich home?
Yay to go.
A little bit of time. And that brightens it up, bumps it up, and you just fluff it with a fork.
So this is all done after it's cooked?
Yeah, this is
And
after it's
still warm.
cooked. Yeah, this is after it's cooked and still warm. And that's your finished quinoa, and you just let it cool and let it sit for service. You just want to fluff it with a fork and mix that stuff in. All right? So that's quinoa. All right, let me move this out of the way, and I'll show you how we do the portion.
I wanna try that.
There's vegetables there, are you sure?
Oh, I like anything.
You weren't eating the kale.
Hey, Celeste went nuts for kale salad. Jose might like.
Move all the water.
Me too.
That kills them.
You know, we have it at the restaurant, I haven't even tried it.
You know how the quinoa might be good? Covered in hot Alfredo sauce.
There you go.
There you go.
Not his music.
Right. There could be truth to that, though.
Is it cold? Do we serve it cold?
Nope, the dish is served hot. So now,
So how do we reheat it?
like this,
Turn to page 1. If you're going backwards.
all right.
Okay, I see.
I'm not even ask how it's gonna be served because he's gonna show us right
Don't ask if it's rose.
Okay, I was thinking of the other sheet.
now. I knew you were gonna give it back to me.
You know it, I'm gonna keep going. Keep going. Just for today, though.
That's all right, I don't bother me.
All righty.
At least I. At least I.
All right, guys. So we got a saute pan right here. We're gonna have a little bit of olive oil. In our hot olive oil, we're gonna add, we have some corn kernels, okay?
What is that?
This is corn kernels.
Frozen or thawed?
Thawed. The Indians call this maize.
We go to maíz,
Maize?
maíz.
So we're just gonna saute this until they get just a little bit of color on it. Okay? So the other thing we're gonna add is just a pinch of salt, and we'll have that with you as well. So, pinch of salt. Okay?
Have you ever thought about making or touching the wings in a Mexican salsa? You know?
No, we do it all the time.
I like tossing it in Valentina.
That's what I'm saying. No, not even that. No, like like
Tomatoes like that?
yeah. Seriously. We have a lot of Hispanic customers in Archer, and I'm pretty sure that we sell a lot.
Maybe we'll give it a shot. All right, so now we got a little bit of color on our corn, okay? So now we're gonna heat up our quinoa. We need 3/4 of a cup. So in this case, I'm gonna use 3 of these, okay, because these are 1/4 cup, all right? 1, 2, 3 of these, and then I need about 2 tablespoons of vegetable stock. How you doing? Put just a touch more vegetable stock in here because this is a really hot pan. So once this is fully once this is hot and it's dry again, okay, once your vegetable stock is gone, hey George, someone can you just do me a favor? Can you just grab me a few almonds from the back? Yeah, a little bit of sliced almonds.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. So once this is dry, turn off the heat. We're just going to use a soup bowl because we want to build some height on it. So we're going to put this in our soup bowl. That's our base. Thanks. This is a half order of vegetables, balsamic roasted vegetables, right? So we're gonna put our veggies down. Maybe a little more than a half order.
It's a nice little size. You supplement it with a pizza like
Right.
All right, so if someone ordered this with chicken, you'd then take a sliced chicken breast and you'd lay it out in the front, okay? Not right in the middle, but kind of like in the front. Now this is fried kale, all right? This is our kale, and we drop this in the fryer. It takes 20 seconds. You get a big burst of bubbles, and then once it's done, it's out. Take it out, drain it on some paper towels, add a little bit of fry seasoning to it, okay, and you're done. Just that real quick, it's 20 seconds and it's done. Crispy fried kale. I was going to show you guys how to do this. I even brought my fryer, but I decided to go faster. But when we do training at the stores, we'll show you how to do that in your fryers. All right? So it's nice and crispy. You like that? It's like,
It's fresh every time we have.
That's
to-
kale by itself, right?
Yeah.
Not the mix.
no, it's just the kale by itself. What?
But we fry fresh every time we make.
No, you have it. You can do it beforehand, and it'll sit all day.
Okay.
It'll sit for quite a while. Don't freeze it. All right? So you just take some crispy fried kale. Just kind of.
It's got a very strong taste.
It's gonna be a little. It's a little bitter. Nice and crisp.
Maybe because they grab a big piece.
Fried. You take take some almonds. Okay.
I mean, it's just a few tortillas and I'll be good.
You would add tortillas.
Oh, yeah, why not? It's awesome.
Then you got some balsamic glaze. And you just put the balsamic glaze across it like that. Now, when you see it's, fried kale is kind of bitter, when you add the balsamic glaze to it, that sweetness will balance it.
I can still taste it.
Yeah. Right? So that's your quinoa and veggie bowl. All right, guys. Cobbler's the last thing when we're done. Then we gotta get to Archer. All right.
Are we gonna serve it on this bowl?
Yeah. And again, in the, I'm sorry, let me show actually the plating is. It actually gets plated like this, liner, and then on a square plate. Because when you take healthy food and cover it in sugar.
It's a lifestyle.
So could you see yourself having a slice of pizza, maybe that on the side, so it's going? Maybe, maybe not.
Oh, maybe not.
I mean, I'd eat it, but I don't think I'd eat it and pizza. I just get some chicken.
Okay.
How you doing? Pretty good.
Is that your bowl? Plates of it?
It really balances out the bitterness of the kale.
I like it.
So you take the kale and you take the nice,
I'm sorry.
no problem. Take the nice healthy kale and deep fry it. And
You didn't say me that one?
Yeah.
Like it.
all right, folks, peach cobbler. All right, so we are going to start out with 5 pounds of frozen sliced peaches. They can still be frozen. These are thawed. Goes a lot faster if you thaw them, but you can start them frozen. Start with them frozen, okay? So you don't have to worry about thawing your peaches if you need to make cobbler. All right? Then you're gonna add your sugar, all right? 1 1/4 cup or 10 ounces. Now we're gonna add our brown sugar. Same thing, 10 ounces. Next, we're gonna add lemon juice. All right, 4 teaspoons. Ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, and table salt. And cornstarch. We're going to turn our heat on, and we're going to mix all this stuff together. In the beginning, it's going to look, especially if you use frozen peaches, it's going to seem very dry. But what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of liquid start to come out of your peaches. And then it's going to seem pretty darn wet. Special sauce. So we tried some, like the peach cobbler filling the peach pie filling that we could buy. It's really not very good for this. It's just not, I wanna make, you know, I, sometimes, I know it seems like a little bit of extra work, but I wanna make food that makes people say, God damn. You
So
know?
that was not your favorite then?
What?
That one is not the best?
No, the one that we buy. The bought peach pie filling, I didn't like it. This, you know, that we're making, that we're cooking,
Oh,
Yeah.
the recipe?
yeah,
Oh, I got it.
this worked, this is good. But, so that's why, you know, taking this extra step really makes a big difference. So it's about making sure that we, you know, this little bit of extra effort, it makes a huge difference. Really big, much better product. Better stuff.
I like the picture you have on. It's cool.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm glad you guys like the quinoa and veggie bowls.
I like it.
So now we'll say the question is, would you order it if you go to the restaurant? Now since you tried it?
I would not know what it is. I would have no clue what it is.
Makes Joe happy. You know, it's for those people who maybe get, you know, when you go to the restaurant, I think I would say the people who are really gonna order it are, sometimes certain people go to the restaurant who don't necessarily want pizza. It really helps bring people in because, you know, think about it. How many times have you thought about, been saying, let's go to this restaurant, and there's like 4 or 5 of you, and everyone wants to go except for one person, right? So maybe what that'll really help with is bringing in people who can't appease that one person. So it's kind of like with the gluten-free pizza, what that's really helped us do is bring in families or people who had someone who was gluten-free or who was celiac and couldn't eat here, so they wouldn't come here because of that. So what that one product did is that, you know, you know, for every gluten-free pizza we sell, what that's really doing is we're feeding another 4 people, or 2. You know, that's kind of the. So that's hopefully what that really is going to do. Is that's going to, you know, well, people say, you know, we only sell like maybe 5 quinoa bowls a week, but maybe those 5 quinoa bowls really mean that we're actually feeding another, you know, 20 people.
Yeah.
That's really the hope.
Since you mentioned the gluten-free pizza, since the kitchen manager, you guys spray both sides of the bread, the shell?
No, just the bottom.
Just about.
See? Remember that you yelled at me at Albert and Archer?
Yeah, and I got to yell at everybody. Both sides.
Both sides?
I have it on video.
Both sides.
We do have it on video.
That's why when you mentioned it to me when I was making that pizza,
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, nobody ever
So-
showed me that.
For the sake of for Jose over here, so I'm fair. I'll shout at you all. Both sides, spray both sides, not too heavily. And yes, you should be freezing the gluten-free shells.
You know what's really hard? What's really hard for our pizza guys to accept is to put it on a 12-inch disc, the blank disc. Like, no, there's no way it goes on that disc.
What do you mean? It doesn't go in it?
Because it just barely fits.
Where do you put the gluten-free?
And,
How do you serve?
and peel.
Yeah.
On the paddle.
The
Yeah,
pedal.
on the pedal, on the wooden pedal.
Yeah.
All right, that's not what you told me last time.
I said you can do it on the paddle or the disc.
You said the idea behind the gluten-free is for the customer that can't eat a normal pizza to not feel any different from somebody that's ordering another pizza.
I said it can go either way. How long ago did we have that conversation?
I wouldn't make that up.
See, guys?
People make things up about me all the time.
I'm not that
I
smart.
walk into restaurants and people say, they told me that you said this, and they,
I just wanted to clarify with you about spraying both sides of the
Yeah.
Okay, so
but he's got it on tape.
I would rather you tell me which one you want me to put it on.
I like it on the paddle personally.
Yeah.
I've hammered it into everybody that it doesn't go on the pan. Now I'll go the other way,
Yeah.
Which one are we talking about?
Gluten-free.
Gluten-free.
We were putting it on the paddle, so there's absolutely no confusion.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
That's all.
It looks nicer.
And it's 10
Yeah.
inch, so we didn't really have the right, it's, the paddle's the perfect size. We didn't really have a black one without buying another one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now,
Please take the black. Let's move, that's fine.
now I know we're,
Paddle, the kids paddle.
Chef Al, I know you were supposed to be cutting in squares, right?
Yes, you cut into squares. Oh, if they ask for a pie cut, of course, cut into pie cut.
No, the reason why I'm
Because
asking,
of the pie cut.
the reason why I'm asking is because I used to cut it in pie cuts because the pedal being so the space very limited, it was just too hard for me to cut it in squares. When I cut it in pie cut, the pieces don't go
Are you
anywhere.
cutting into squares on that little paddle?
Yeah,
Oh, you don't have to cut on the little paddle.
that's what we do. You just take it off the thing, put it on the pedal, and cut it in squares.
Cut on top of the pedal.
Yeah.
And then slide it. Right?
But we do it square, not pie
The
cut.
reason you cut it square is because you really want them to feel like they're getting all of Home Run and Pizza, and Home Run and Pizza's always been square. So, you know, I guess that's why it was.
But the 8 inches cut maybe because it's too small.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll do whatever you guys want, but I think cutting in pie cuts is a lot easier to cut.
Maybe that's what I confused them. When you said that.
Okay.
So squares it is.
I mean, unless somebody's got an argument for why it should be pie, but I don't know.
Well, he's got an argument for why it should be pie, because he says it's too hard, so. I've always said, square cut on you cut it on a,
Piece of paper.
on a, I keep wanting to call them ripple pads, but the new and improved ripple pads, the bumpy pads. You cut it on those so that it's clean, so that it's clean, you know, so that it's disposable and clean, and it's. All right, folks. So this is starting to come to a bit of a simmer. You want to bring this to a boil, and you want to simmer it for 3 minutes. Okay? And the reason you do this is so that it gets, so that the cornstarch will fully thicken it. All right? So 3 minutes. You want to stir it so that it doesn't burn. How do you guys like the mac and cheese?
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and those skillets are dishwasher safe, but when they come out, you should probably be in a good practice of like spraying them down with pan coating.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. But, and the wooden paddle, we're gonna keep that away from the dish room, just kind of wipe them down and keep them, you know.
Trust me, that was my first question when I saw
They're
it.
not dishwasher safe, so if you wash them, they'll be shot.
Yeah, if they get dirty, just kind of wash them down with a little bit of water.
I say treat them like your salt and pepper shakers, even to the point where when it goes to the bus station, you know, the skillet can go in to go back to the dish room, but the paddles, the boards should probably go up on the shelf and work their way back to the kitchen. We'll probably get more paddles, I just haven't, I got everybody exactly what they needed to get started, and we'll order some more on the shortly.
Because I know they'll get all rusted, right?
Yeah, well, we just found the board. They will get rusted eventually. These are actually pre-seasoned with a heavy-duty coating, so they're made for commercial dishwashers. But as long as you take care of them, spray them when you're done, they could last you forever.
All right, so that's,
Spray in the dish.
You can do that, just keep it in the dish room once they come out, stack them up.
all right, so now this has come to this is boiling, it's nice and thickened, it's been a couple minutes, maybe just a little bit more. We see how this has changed, how it's thickened, and now see how the gel is now clear? That's what happens with cornstarch, okay? Cornstarch when gelatinizes, it becomes clear. So this is done. All right, so that's our filling. Before baking, what you do is you actually you cool your filling. We're not going to cool it for just the quick demo that I'm going to show you. I'll put it together. But you can make,
That's done?
yep, that's done. You can make this filling days ahead of time. This has a shelf life of about a week.
And again, you can freeze it.
You can freeze it. I wouldn't recommend holding it hot on the steam table. Or making it with pasta. All right.
Yeah.
I don't have the right size disher. I gotta find a white handle disher, and they just come over the top. So,
But unlike they use fresh pitch, not frozen.
These are about as good as you can get, these are fresh rolls,
Fresh frozen.
Moisés, no te vayas, ¿ya te vas? ¿Ya te vas? ¿O te vas a quedar? No. ¿Por qué no? No. ¿Te vas a ir? No. Más, yo creo. Pero yo no sé que como siempre te quedas. ¿Te espero? No, no, está chido.
all right, guys. All right. Assembly. So you guys are going to do you can do a dozen of these at a time. Right? So these nice little ceramic skillets. These are different than your other ones. Okay? Because these are going to be microwaved. Okay, for service. So white handle disher. Okay? You want to fill it, but you don't want it to be like, you know, heaping. Okay? So it's filled. So basically that's the equivalent of about 3/4 of a cup going in each one. All right? Now for each, so this is your topping. I didn't need to show you guys how to mix it, but the ingredients that go into it, this is biscuit mix, white sugar, brown sugar, sour cream, and liquid margarine. All right? So this makes a sweet biscuit. So you want to take 2 level blue scoops, or you can use a 4-ounce spoodle. But if you use the blue scoop, it comes out a little bit easier. But if you use the spoodle, actually, it's easier to get a really nice even disc. So 2 level blue scoops, and you just kind of form it into a disc, and you just lay it out, kind of just press it out, just lay it out right on top.
Like mini tortilla.
There you go. It's like a sweet biscuity tortilla,
Like a gordita.
like a tostada. It's like a peach skillet tostada.
No, gordita.
Gordita, there you go.
But don't sopes look like that too?
The same thing.
Oh, it is?
Soap is when instead of like stuffing them with your your toppings.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You put it on top. You put it on.
Oh,
So,
Sopa is like pizza, you know.
oh, okay.
Get the tortilla, put all the stuff.
Sorry, go ahead.
okay, stop making everything Mexican. so,
Where do you work again, man?
yeah. So that's your, so there, and then you want to put it on as a parchment-lined baking sheet. The reason you want to put parchment under it is because if your filling bubbles over, there's a lot of sugar in it, and if it sticks, what could happen is these actually might stick to your sheet. Okay, so you want the parchment, just in case. Pizza oven, 280 degrees, and we found, at least the ovens at Archer, 2 passes at 23 minutes, right? So about 45, 46 minutes, okay? 280 degrees. If you're using a convection oven, this is for a double door convection oven, not like or like a low boy convection oven on a range, not like the ones at Archer or here at Darien that that'll blast anything with that. 300 degrees for 45 minutes. So Chicago 31st Street, your low boy at Beverly, that'll probably work. 300 degrees for 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
When it's done, your filling should be bubbling, and when you take the temperature of the biscuit, it should rise a little bit, it'll fill it out. Take the temperature in the middle of the biscuit, it'll be 200 degrees. All right? Now reheating. Let me rinse my hands very, very quickly.
Still going to school?
Yeah.
All right, folks. All right, reheating. So you have your skillets. This is what they look like when they're done. Pretty.
Cute.
So you put them in the microwave. Your microwave depends on power and all that. The microwave at Archer, where we did our testing, 2.5 minutes. All right, so they should be about 160 to 180 degrees on the inside. You take the temperature.
These are ceramic, they're not the mac and cheese, they're ceramic.
Do not microwave the cast iron skillets. This is, if you do, then I will have to tell you that this is why we can't have nice things. All right? So, after it's nice and hot, and you microwave it.
Take the oil,
Yeah.
plastic.
Yeah, take the plastic rag off. Then you're gonna just take a little bit of liquid margarine.
Got any butter sauce?
Yeah, with some regular margarine, sans garlic. Do you fire anyone who puts garlic butter on top of one of these? All right? And just very lightly. They will. It will happen. It will happen.
Yeah, it was.
Very lightly brush the top. Okay? With liquid margarine, put it in a convection oven with the sheet pan underneath. Same thing. You don't want to accidentally put it on top because you might have some bubbling over. You don't want to accidentally have it on top of macaroni and cheese, or it might drip some peach cobbler on top of macaroni and cheese. Right? In a single door 420 convection oven, 4 minutes. It might be about 6 minutes in otherwise.
4 minutes.
4 minutes, 420.
Yeah, 420.
Yeah, and you're
That's after we put it in the microwave?
after in the microwave, and that'll crisp the top, finish cooking it, and then it goes on a square plate. Okay?